This is Detroit. Right now, 2025. The city that put America on wheels. Once home to 1.8 million people. Today, 640,000. The population collapsed by 65%. Entire neighborhoods sit empty. 40,000 abandoned buildings decay slowly. You can buy houses for $500. Not because they're bargains. Because nobody wants them. The auto industry collapse started it. GM bankruptcy in 2009. Chrysler bailout. Ford layoffs. 50,000 automotive jobs vanished in 5 years. But manufacturing employed 300,000 in 1950. By 2025, 18,000. The factories that built the middle class became ruins. The Motor City ran out of fuel decades ago. Bankruptcy in 2013 made it official. Detroit became the largest American city to declare bankruptcy. $18 billion in debt. Pension funds slashed. Services cut. Streetlights turned off to save money. 40% of the city went dark at night. Police response times averaged 58 minutes. Fires burned uncontrolled. Detroit became the residents who stayed suffered most. Majority African American. 80% of remaining population. They watched their city die while lacking resources to leave. Schools closed. Hospitals shuttered. Grocery stores fled, creating food deserts. The people who built Detroit's prosperity were abandoned when that prosperity ended. Environmental racism. Artists and hipsters gentrified small pockets. Midtown and Corktown saw coffee shops and galleries. But 90% of Detroit remained forgotten. Urban farming in vacant lots. Scrappers stealing copper from abandoned buildings. Wild animals reclaiming neighborhoods. Nature and poverty filled the void left by prosperity. Detroit became post-apocalyptic while still inhabited. This is Detroit today. Abandoned. Bankrupt. Divided. The city that built America's 20th century couldn't survive into the 21st. But 50 years from now, Detroit becomes something nobody predicted. The robot city, where automation doesn't replace workers. It employs them. Manufacturing returns. But this time, humans and machines work together. Detroit's resurrection, the transformation began in 2033 with a controversial idea. Dr. Marcus Chin, a robotics engineer at University of Michigan, proposed rebuilding Detroit around human-robot collaboration. Not replacing workers with robots. Training workers to work alongside robots. The Robot Partnership Initiative. Politicians called it fantasy. Auto workers called it betrayal. Dr. Chin called it Detroit's only. The United Auto Workers Union resisted initially. Memories of automation destroying jobs ran deep. But Union President Keisha Williams, Detroit native and third-generation auto worker, saw a different reality. Jobs weren't coming back traditionally. Foreign competition, automation, and offshoring killed that dream. The choice? No jobs. Or new jobs working with robots. Federal support came through the Great Lakes Manufacturing Revival Act of 2034. $35 billion to Detroit specifically. But with conditions. Every new manufacturing job must train workers for human-robot collaboration. Every factory must employ at least 60% human workforce. Automation couldn't eliminate jobs. It had to augment them. Washington bet on Detroit becoming the model for human. Tesla shocked everyone by announcing Detroit as their 6th gigafactory location in 2035. Elon Musk's statement? Detroit has the talent, the infrastructure, and now the vision. We're not rescuing Detroit. Detroit is leading the future of manufacturing. 30,000 jobs announced. But different jobs. Technicians. Programmers. Robot supervisors. Assembly line workers who code. The Motor City becoming the Robot City. The Robot Training Institute opened in 2036 in a renovated Packard plant. The building that symbolized Detroit's decay became center for Detroit's rebirth. Auto workers learned programming. High school dropouts learned robotics. 50-year-olds retrained for tech careers. 8-month program. Guaranteed job placement. Free tuition funded by manufacturing companies. Education became the bridge between old Detroit. The first collaborative factory opened in 2038. Ford advanced manufacturing. Humans and robots working literally side by side. Robots handled dangerous, repetitive tasks. Humans did quality control, problem solving, and decision making. Productivity increased 200%. Injuries dropped 87%. Worker satisfaction? Highest in Ford history. Humans weren't competing with robots. Other companies followed. GM, Stellantis, Rivian, dozens of suppliers. By 2045, 120,000 Detroiters worked in human-robot collaborative manufacturing. Not the 300,000 of Detroit's peak, but better jobs, higher wages, safer conditions. Average manufacturing salary, $87,000, 3 times the national median. Blue-collar workers, population stabilized by 2050. Then grew. 640,000 in 2035. 800,000 by 2050. 1.1 million by 2075. Detroit became the fastest-growing city in the Midwest. Not despite automation. Because of it. The city that automation killed, automation resurrected. Just required reimagining what automation meant. Partnership, not replacement. Welcome to Detroit 2075. The Robot City. 1.1 million residents. 387 collaborative manufacturing facilities. 217,000 humans working alongside 432,000 robots. That's 2 robots per human worker. Not replacing, augmenting. Every factory floor looks like choreographed dance between human intelligence and robotic. Manufacturing diversity exploded beyond automotive. Electric vehicles, yes, but also robotics themselves. Medical devices, aerospace components, renewable energy systems, battery technology. Detroit produces the robots that other cities use. The irony isn't lost. The city automated by robots now builds robots for everyone else. Master became student. Student became master. The factories themselves became architectural showcases. Gone are the windowless fortresses of the 20th century. Detroit's 21st century factories feature glass walls, skylights, and green spaces. Transparency, literal and figurative. Visitors watch production through viewing galleries. Schools take field trips. Manufacturing became source of pride again. Detroit doesn't hide its factories. It celebrates them. The human-robot collaboration evolved sophisticated protocols. Robots were proximity sensors. Humans were augmented reality glasses. Each knows exactly where the other is. The AR glasses show robot intent, what they're about to do. Robots slow down when humans approach. Speed up when alone. It's not just safety. It's partnership. Each adjusting behavior to support the other. Symbiosis, not coexistence. Education integrated completely with industry. Every Detroit public school includes robotics labs. 3rd graders learn basic programming. 7th graders build simple robots. High schoolers intern at factories 2 days per week. By graduation, students have real manufacturing experience and industry certifications. The pipeline from classroom to factory floor became seamless. Detroit's future work, the abandoned buildings, systematically demolished or renovated. The city demolished 28,000 structures between 2035 and 2060. Another 12,000 renovated as housing, studios, and small businesses. The vacant lots became productive. Solar farms, urban forests, stormwater management parks. Detroit stopped being ashamed of its empty spaces. It repurposed them. Greenest major city in America by 2070. Housing transformed alongside manufacturing. The affordable homes that once sold for hundreds now went for hundreds of thousands. But Detroit maintained affordability through aggressive building. High-density apartments near factories. Renovated historic homes. New developments. Supply increased faster than demand. Median home price, $225,000. Affordable for transportation infrastructure rebuilt completely. The Detroit People Mover, once a downtown-only joke, expanded citywide. Autonomous buses operate 24/7. Bike lanes connect every neighborhood. Three-shift manufacturing means movement happens around the clock, but also pedestrian-friendly. Wide sidewalks, pocket parks, street furniture. Detroit became walkable while remaining industrial. Healthcare dramatically improved. Collaborative robots revolutionized medical care. Surgical robots with human oversight. Diagnostic AI with physician interpretation. Elder care robots assisting nurses. Henry Ford Hospital became global leader in human-robot medical collaboration. Medical tourism brought patients worldwide to Detroit. The expertise in manufacturing robots transferred directly to medical robotics. Same skills. Different. Crime dropped 78% citywide. Why? Employment. Purpose. Opportunity. Young people who would have joined gangs instead learned robotics. Ex-offenders retrained in manufacturing. Jobs broke the crime cycle. Also, robotic police assistants. Not RoboCop. Human officers with AI support for pattern recognition and rapid response. Arts and culture exploded alongside industry. Manufacturing workers funded art. Factory wages supported musicians, painters, and writers. Detroit became creative capital precisely because manufacturing paid bills. The stereotype of industrial versus artistic? Detroit disproved it. Engineers attended gallery openings. Roboticists played in bands. The industrial city became cultural powerhouse. Prosperity funds creativity. Environmental recovery exceeded expectations. Air quality, poisoned by 20th century industry, became excellent. Electric manufacturing produces minimal emissions. Solar and wind power every factory. The Detroit River, once dead, now supports fish populations. People swim in the river again. 50 years ago, that would have been suicide. Now it's recreation. The demographic transformation was deliberate. Detroit's 2025 population was 80% African American. 2075, 62% African American, 21% white, 10% Hispanic, 7% Asian. Diversity increased as city grew. But Black Detroit remained majority, remained powerful. Sports returned seriously. The Lions moved back into downtown in 2058. The Pistons followed 2061. Championship contending teams because city prosperity attracted talent. Athletes wanted to live in Detroit again. Fans could afford tickets because manufacturing paid well. Stadiums filled, not with corporate sponsors, with working families. Detroit became sports town again. Blue-collar fans watching world-class athletes. Downtown Detroit became legitimate destination, not hipster enclave. Actual urban center. Restaurants, theaters, hotels. But serving local population first, tourists second. Detroiters could afford downtown because their wages supported it. The virtuous cycle. Good jobs funded good businesses, which hired more people for good jobs. Economics textbook example. Detroit 2075 isn't the Detroit of 1950. That city's gone forever. This is different Detroit. Smaller but stronger. More diverse, but still fundamentally Black. Industrial but clean. Automated but employing. Detroit didn't resurrect the past. It built different future. Same name. Same location. New identity. Let's follow a typical resident. Meet Jamal Robinson, 36 years old, third-generation Detroiter. His grandfather built Cadillacs on the assembly line. His father lost his factory job in 2008. Never recovered. Jamal grew up watching Detroit die. In 2075, he's a robotic systems supervisor at Rivian's Detroit factory. Same industry. Different job. Different outcome. His commute? 15 minutes by autonomous bus. Free. Funded by manufacturing tax revenue. The bus drops him at Rivian's gleaming factory on the east side. Not the crumbling plant his grandfather worked in. A modern facility with windows, skylights, and a rooftop garden where workers eat lunch. He swipes his badge. Walks past a viewing gallery where school kids watch production. Manufacturing as public spectacle. Pride, not shame. His work? Supervising 12 collaborative robots on the battery assembly line. The robots do the heavy lifting, literally. Moving 600-pound battery packs. Precise welding. Repetitive installation. Jamal monitors quality. Troubleshoots problems. Programs new sequences. His grandfather's hands built cars. Jamal's mind directs robots that build cars. Different skills. Same pride. Still manufacturing. His salary? $89,000 annually. His grandfather made $45,000 in inflation-adjusted dollars. Jamal earns double for work that's safer, cleaner, and more intellectually engaging. He owns a home. 3-bedroom in Brightmoor. Bought for $230,000. His mortgage payment? $1,200 monthly. 20% of income. The math works. Manufacturing wages support home owner. Lunch happens in the rooftop garden. Real grass. Trees. Picnic tables. Jamal eats with his team. 3 humans, 12 robots, represented by their maintenance data on his tablet. He reviews the morning's production metrics. Efficiency, 97%. Quality defects, 0.03%. Safety incidents, 0. The robots don't take lunch, but their human partner. After work, Jamal coaches his son Marcus's robotics team at the community center. Youth robotics became Detroit's biggest sport. Kids compete designing robots for various challenges. Marcus's team is building a search and rescue robot. Jamal uses skills from work to teach kids. Knowledge flows both ways. He learns from enthusiastic teenagers too. Manufacturing skills, creating next generation. Dinner is at home with his wife Tamika, a nurse at Henry Ford Hospital, and their 2 kids. They cook together, a family ritual. Tamika talks about the surgical robot she assisted today. Marcus excitedly explains his robot's design. Their daughter Aaliyah, in 5th grade, shows her programming homework. The entire family speaks robotics fluently. Not dystopian, just normal. Technology as language everyone speaks. Evening entertainment happens at the newly renovated Fox Theater. Tonight, Detroit Symphony Orchestra performing with robotic instruments. Yes, robot musicians. Not replacing human musicians. Playing alongside them. Creating sounds no human could produce. The collaboration produces music neither could create alone. Jamal and Tamika enjoy culture, their manufacturing, and they return home through safe, well-lit streets. Jamal remembers his father warning him to be home before dark. That Detroit doesn't exist anymore. Not because of police surveillance. Because of employment. People with good jobs don't commit crimes. Simple economics. Jobs prevent violence more effectively than any law enforcement. Detroit proved that thesis definitively. Before bed, Jamal looks at family photos. His grandfather in factory uniform. His father unemployed and bitter. Himself in Rivian gear. 3 generations. 3 different Detroits. His grandfather had stable work but dangerous conditions. His father had nothing. Jamal has safer work, better pay, and dignity. Progress isn't linear, but it's real. Detroit learned, adapted. This is daily life in Robot City, Detroit. Not for tech executives. For third-generation auto workers who retrained. For black families who stayed when others fled. For people who bet on Detroit when nobody else would. They didn't escape Detroit. Detroit transformed around them, elevated them, employed them, through partnership with machines that once threatened to replace them. Health outcomes prove transformation success. Life expectancy in Detroit increased by 9 years between 2035 and 2075. Infant mortality dropped 68%. Chronic disease rates declined across all categories. When people have jobs, healthcare, clean environment, and safe neighborhoods, health improves. Seems obvious. Detroit proved it measurably. Educational outcomes followed employment. High school graduation rate, 91% in 2075 versus 64% in 2025. College enrollment, 73% versus 39%. But also vocational training. 82% of graduates complete robotics certification. Multiple pathways to prosperity. College isn't only option. Skills matter. Detroit built skill-based. The Robinson family represents Detroit's resurrection. Not wealthy, not poor, solidly middle class. Black family in black city that prospered without displacement. Manufacturing workers earning professional wages. Children with opportunities parents lacked. This wasn't given. It was built. One job, one robot, one partnership at a time. Detroit showed America that how does human-robot collaboration actually work? Let's dive deep into the technology. Each robot operates with 3 levels of autonomy. Level 1, fully autonomous for routine tasks. Level 2, semi-autonomous, human approval required. Level 3, human-directed, robot executes. The robot constantly assesses task complexity and requests appropriate human involvement. Communication happens through multiple channels. Visual. LED indicators on robots show status. Green for working, yellow for human assistance needed, red for problem. Audible. Robots emit specific tones before moving. Tactile. Robots vibrate when approached. Digital. Worker AR glasses display robot intent and next actions. Redundant communication prevents accidents. Over-engineering safety made collaboration. Training takes 8 months. Not just technical skills. Psychology. Workers learn robot capabilities and limitations. Robots learn individual worker preferences and communication styles. Yes, robots learn. Machine learning adapts robots to specific human partners. Jamal's 12 robots work differently with him than they would with another supervisor. Partnership requires mutual adaptation. Both sides learn. Both sides adjust. Maintenance workers became diagnostic specialists. Robots self-diagnose 92% of issues. Report them. Request human confirmation. Technicians verify diagnosis and authorize repair. Often, robots repair each other under human supervision. The technician ensures quality and safety. The robots do physical work. Division of labor based on comparative advantage. Quality control remained entirely human. Robots achieve 0.03% defect rates. Impressive. But humans inspect everything. Why? Because humans understand context. A robot identifies deviations from specifications. A human understands whether that deviation matters. Engineering judgment requires human intelligence. Robots provide data. Humans provide wisdom. Programming evolved into conversational interface. Workers don't write code. They describe what they want in plain English. Move that component 3 inches left. Slow down during welding. The AI interprets natural language and executes commands. Programming became accessible to everyone. No computer science degree required. Just clear communication. Democratizing technology through intelligent interfaces. Emotional intelligence became differentiator. Robots detect human stress through microexpressions and vital signs. Stressed worker? Robot slows down, offers break suggestions, reports potential burnout to supervisor. Not surveillance. Support. The robot protects its human partner. Because productivity requires healthy workers. Economic self-interest aligned with worker welfare. Unions embraced the technology once they helped design it. UAW negotiated robot deployment agreements. Mandatory human oversight. Job guarantees. Profit sharing when robots increase productivity. Workers share gains from automation, not just costs. The union that once opposed robots now co-owns them. Literally. Worker profit sharing includes ownership stake in robotic equipment. Labor-robot partnership. Unions embraced the technology once they helped design it. UAW negotiated robot deployment agreements. Mandatory human oversight. Job guarantees. Profit sharing when robots increase productivity. Workers share gains from automation, not just costs. The union that once opposed robots now co-owns them. Literally. Worker profit sharing includes ownership stake in robotic equipment. Cybersecurity became critical. Robots connected to networks face hacking risks. Detroit developed the secure collaborative protocol. Each robot operates on isolated network. Human approval required for any external communication. Air-gapped critical systems. Redundant security layers. The 2067 attempted cyberattack on Ford failed completely. Security architecture assumed attacks would happen. Cybersecurity became critical. Robots connected to networks face hacking risks. Detroit developed the secure collaborative protocol. Each robot operates on isolated network. Human approval required for any external communication. Air-gapped critical systems. Redundant security layers. The 2067 attempted cyberattack on Ford failed completely. Security architecture assumed attacks would happen. Prevent. Dr. Chen's greatest insight? Technology serves people only when people design it. The robots didn't happen to Detroit. Detroit designed robots for Detroit's needs. Worker safety, job preservation, wage growth, dignity. The technology reflected values. Not because robots care about values. Because the designers did. Technology is never neutral. It embodies choices. But Detroit's resurrection isn't complete. Challenges persist. The 43,000 people who couldn't or wouldn't retrain. They exist in parallel Detroit. Service jobs. Gig economy. Struggling. The manufacturing renaissance left them behind. Not everyone can become robotics technician. Not everyone wants to. Detroit created prosperity for many. Not all. The prosperity gap narrowed. Retraining programs worked for 78% of participants. 22% failed out. Not stupid. Not lazy. Just different learning styles. Different aptitudes. Different life circumstances. Single mothers couldn't afford 8 months without income during training. Older workers struggled with technology. The program succeeded for most. Not everyone. Those people's dependence on manufacturing creates vulnerability. What if automation advances eliminate need for human oversight? Detroit bet entirely on human-robot partnership. If that partnership becomes unnecessary, Detroit collapses again. Diversification remains elusive. 83% of Detroit's economy depends on manufacturing. One industry. Again, history suggests that's dangerous. Detroit learned from the past. Housing affordability started creeping upward. The median price of $225,000 in 2060 climbed to $380,000 by 2075. Manufacturing wages kept pace. But service workers priced out. Gentrification returned. This time, black factory workers displacing black service workers. Class inequality within same racial community. Prosperity, the environmental progress, came with caveats. Manufacturing produces emissions, even clean manufacturing. Detroit's air quality improved dramatically, but still worse than non-industrial cities. Battery production generates toxic waste. Properly managed, yes, but waste nonetheless. Solar panels and robots require rare earth minerals. Mined elsewhere. Detroit exports environmental costs to other regions. Racism didn't disappear with prosperity. Black workers earn well in manufacturing. But corporate management remains predominantly white. Glass ceiling exists in Robot City same as everywhere else. Black Detroit controls city government. White executives control most companies. Economic power and political power remain separate. Prosperity reduced racial inequality. Didn't eliminate it. Progress, not solution. Automation anxiety persists. Workers worry constantly about next breakthrough making them obsolete. Will Level 4 robots eliminate human oversight? Will quantum computing enable fully autonomous manufacturing? The partnership feels precarious. One technological advance from unemployment. Living in prosperity while fearing it's temporary. Psychological burden of automation economy. Success shadow. The population remains below historical peak. 1.1 million in 2075. but 1.8 million in 1950. Detroit shrunk permanently. The empty spaces filled with solar farms and parks. But they're still empty of people. Detroit will never be what it was. That's okay. Different can be good. But some Detroiters mourn the city that died. Youth employment challenges persist. Not every teenager wants manufacturing career. Arts, services, entertainment, jobs exist, but pay far less than factory work. High school graduates face pressure toward manufacturing. Social expectation. Economic necessity. But variety in careers matters. Detroit creating prosperity through single pathway. Limiting options while expanding opportunities. Paradox. Detroit 2075 isn't utopia. It's better. Dramatically better than 2025. But problems remain. Some new. Some old. Some transformed versions of original challenges. The city that collapsed rebuilt itself. Imperfectly. Incompletely. But genuinely. Detroit didn't solve everything. It solved enough. Sometimes enough is victory. Especially when starting from ruins. Detroit's model spread throughout industrial America. Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Gary, Flint. All implemented human-robot collaborative manufacturing. Each adapted Detroit's framework. Cleveland focused on medical device manufacturing. Pittsburgh on robotics themselves. Buffalo on aerospace. Detroit proved the concept. Rust Belt refined it. The region stopped rusting. Started rebuilding. Federal policy followed Detroit's success. The Manufacturing Renaissance Act of 2056 allocated $200 billion for human-robot collaboration nationwide. But strictly regulated. Minimum 60% human workforce. Worker profit sharing mandatory. Union involvement required. Retraining funded. Detroit's lessons codified into federal law. Automation. International interest exploded. Japan, South Korea, and Germany, manufacturing powers, studied Detroit intensely. But also developing nations. Vietnam, Mexico, India, countries pursuing industrialization, sent delegations. Detroit demonstrated that late industrialization could skip straight to collaborative automation. Developing countries didn't need to repeat assembly line sweatshops. They could leapfrog to partnership. Academic programs proliferated. MIT established the Human-Robot Collaboration Institute in 2058. Carnegie Mellon, Georgia Tech, Stanford all launched programs. Dr. Chun taught at University of Michigan until retirement. His students now design collaborative systems worldwide. Detroit became case study. The manufacturing failure that became manufacturing model. Labor movements worldwide adopted Detroit's framework. European unions negotiated robot deployment agreements. Asian labor organizations demanded profit sharing. Latin American workers trained in collaborative manufacturing. UAW became international consultant. The union that almost died became labor movement's future. Organized labor found relevance by organizing around automation, not opposing it. Controlling. Corporate culture shifted. Companies competed on worker satisfaction, not just profit margins. Best companies for human-robot partnership rankings emerged. Tesla, Ford, Rivian, GM all marketed their collaborative practices. Worker testimonials in advertisements. Factory tours for investors. Treating workers well became competitive advantage. Because Detroit proved that happy workers with robot partners outproduce exploited. Political movements emerged celebrating manufacturing. The Blue Collar Party, founded 2062, won governor races in Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Platform? Dignified manufacturing jobs for everyone. They succeeded because Detroit proved manufacturing could be dignified again. Clean factories. Safe conditions. Good wages. Meaningful work. Manufacturing. Cultural representation followed reality. Movies and TV shows set in collaborative factories. Musicians celebrating manufacturing life. Artists exploring human-machine relationships. Detroit's transformation inspired creative expression. Manufacturing became cool again. Not nostalgia. Contemporary celebration. Young people aspired to factory work. Dramatic economic data proved model success. Rust Belt states grew GDP 137% between 2035 and 2075. Faster than Sun Belt. Faster than coasts. The regions everyone abandoned became economic engines. Manufacturing states elected President 2072. First time since Reagan. Political power returned to industrial heartland. Because economic power returned, Detroit's greatest export wasn't robots or electric vehicles. It was possibility. The idea that decline can reverse. That automation can benefit workers. That industrial cities have futures. Rust Belt cities worldwide looked at Detroit and thought, maybe us too. That inspiration? Priceless. Detroit didn't just save itself. It proved industrial cities everywhere could save themselves. So what does Detroit teach us? First, automation isn't the enemy. How we deploy automation determines outcomes. Detroit designed automation for partnership. Other cities designed for replacement. Design choices matter more than technology itself. Robots aren't good or bad. They're tools. Tools reflect the values of. Second, workers must control automation. Not oppose it. Control it. UAW didn't stop robots. They negotiated how robots deployed. Profit sharing. Job guarantees. Safety standards. Retraining. Workers with power over technology benefit from technology. Workers without power get replaced by technology. The difference? Organization. Collective bargaining. Third, retraining must be accessible. Free. 8 months. Guaranteed job placement. Income support during training. Detroit didn't tell workers to retrain themselves. It funded comprehensive programs. Society benefits when workers succeed. Society pays for retraining. Individual responsibility didn't save Detroit. Collective investment did. Public funding. Social support. Fourth, federal investment matters. $35 billion from Washington enabled Detroit's transformation. Cities can't do this alone. Regional industrial decline requires national resources, not bailouts. Investment. Money that returns value. Detroit proved federal urban industrial investment works when paired with worker-centered design. Washington funds infrastructure. Detroit. Fifth, speed matters. Detroit collapsed slowly, rebuilt slowly. 40 years from bankruptcy to prosperity. That's too slow for people suffering today. Future cities must learn from Detroit without repeating Detroit's timeline. Accelerate retraining. Deploy robots faster. But maintain worker protections. Speed without exploitation. Possible? Unknown. But necessary. Sixth, not everyone transitioned successfully. 22% of retrainees failed. Service workers remained struggling. Older workers couldn't adapt. Prosperity leaves people behind. Even good programs have limits. Cities must provide alternatives. Universal basic income. Enhanced social services. Support for those who can't transition. Success for most shouldn't. Seventh, diversification remains critical. Detroit rebuilt on manufacturing. Again, history suggests single industry dependence creates vulnerability. What happens when next technology shift occurs? Detroit solved 21st century automation. What about 22nd century quantum computing? Or AI that truly replaces human judgment? Prosperity built on current technology faces. Eighth, black cities can prosper. Detroit remained majority African American through resurrection. Black political control. Black workers. Black prosperity. Not despite blackness. Through blackness. Detroit disproves racist narratives about black urban failure. Given resources, organization, and opportunity, black cities thrive. Detroit's success is black success. That matters nationally. Proves possibility. Ninth, culture follows economics. When manufacturing died, Detroit's culture died. When manufacturing returned, culture revived. Arts, sports, entertainment, all require economic foundation. You can't have cultural renaissance without economic prosperity funding it. Fix the economy first. Culture follows. Detroit demonstrated that sequence. Prosperity enables creativity. 10th, your city can do this. Maybe not robots. Maybe different technology. Maybe different industry. But partnership between workers and technology? Universal principle. Your declining city faces its own crisis. Study Detroit. Adapt the model. Design technology serving workers. Fund retraining. Organize labor. Invest federally. Build partnerships. Detroit's lesson isn't about robots. It's about refusing to accept decline as destiny. Detroit 2075 stands as monument to human-machine partnership. 217,000 humans. 432,000 robots. Working together. Building electric vehicles, medical devices, aerospace components, batteries. Manufacturing that's clean, safe, dignified. Wages supporting middle-class life. Community revived. Population growing. The motor city that died became the robot city that lives. Detroit didn't resurrect the past. Built different future. Smaller but stronger. Industrial but clean. Automated but employing. Black majority but diverse. Manufacturing city that proved manufacturing has future. If workers control that future. Detroit's resurrection required death first. This is Detroit 2075. Where robots don't replace workers. They empower them. Where automation creates prosperity. Where the Rust Belt became the future belt. From Motor City to Robot City. From collapse to collaboration. From automation's victim to automation's master. Detroit proved that humans and machines don't have to compete. They can partner. And partnership creates prosperity impossible. This has been Detroit's robotic revolution. From automotive assembly lines to human-robot collaboration. 50 years. 200,000 workers retrained. 400,000 robots deployed. 1.1 million residents returned. The industrial city that everyone declared dead. That proved industry had future. Just required partnership. Detroit didn't fight automation. It designed automation.